Hi everyone, you're welcome back to my channel. Thank you for stopping right here on my space today. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if sewing is a niche you always like to get updates on. In today's tutorial, I'll be quickly sharing with you all how to sew a reversible corset top. As you can see right here, I made use of two different African Ankara prints to achieve this top, and this top can be worn as well on two different occasions without people even getting to know that you're wearing a particular dress. I was super excited with the outcome of this particular top you see right here. So I would have worn it on my body, but there was no one available to lace it for me at the moment. So let's just get started with the sewing. So this is basically the second part of this tutorial. I shared the detailed process on how to go about the drafting in the first part of the tutorial, which I'll be linking in my comment section. So I went ahead to cut out all my patterns on my fabric, and all of this I cut them on fold. So I also cut out my hairstay for this, and all of these pieces I have 4 pieces for each, but for the center front I have like 2 pieces. So you can see I added half of an inch all around on all of these parts, aside the sides where I added my 1 inch for sewing allowance while I was drafting. So now I went ahead to separate my curves because I'm trying to show you all something right here. So towards the parts I marked this arrow, I made notches because by the time I remove this paper, it will be very difficult for me to identify the parts that will have to be stitched. So for the top part, I had to make 2 notches to indicate that this is the top part, and to the side that will be joined, I made just 1 notch. So at the top part I made 2 notches. So just bear this in mind, because by the time you remove all of this paper, it will be kind of difficult for you to know how to place this properly. So it's really essential you actually notch all of these parts, because it's greatly going to help you a whole lot. So you can see that I did this for all of these bra cup, and I'm just going to get them right sides facing each other, and I'm just going to join it at that point right there. So but before that, I'll have to iron this my hairstay to all my pieces, including the body parts of this my dress. Okay, so I'm gonna head now to iron this out. Iron my hairstay to my fabrics and to my cup parts. So I'm going to take all of this apart now, and I'll start working with my cup area. So I remove my pattern paper, and this of these notches I made, there is really no need for me to start working with the papers, because I'm just going to use this to indicate the parts that are meant to go with each other. So you all know for the center front there, I'm going to have like little pieces. So for this other side of the cup is bigger, so just know that the side of the cup is bigger than the center. So I went ahead to place this way, ensuring that my notches are rightly placed. So you can see the proper arrangements I'm giving right here. But if you cannot really do this even after the notch, you can go ahead and make use of your pattern paper to do this. Okay, so after I must have gotten the right way it should be placed, I went ahead now to use my pin to pin this together, just right on this part. So after pinning now, I'll pin to the end, and after that I'm simply going to mark half of an inch, which is going to serve as my joining or sewing allowance, all the way from the top to the very end, because this was the allowance I gave while I was cutting out on my fabric, as you just saw earlier. So you can see how I'm placing all of these. I'm arranging this properly, so go ahead and do this to yours as well. So right here now is the front part of my top, and here is the center front, the other one is the side front. So I'm placing them properly, I'm arranging them. So these curved parts will be joined first. So you can see how I flip this to the right sides facing each other. I'm going to join at that point using half of an inch. Same thing to this other part. So using my pattern, I went ahead to cut out this wording piece, because I'll be creating my own cups by myself, my bra cups. So I cut this out, and I didn't add any stitching allowance all around, because this is the actually the bra cup, so no stitching allowance is needed right here. So I went ahead to separate all of this piece. So right here now you are going to join. Okay, so you're not going to join like joining it on top of the other. If you actually have a zigzag stitch, you can use your zigzag stitch and achieve this thing I'm trying to do right here, which is bringing these two cup parts together. So because I don't have a zigzag stitch on my machine, I had to use my needle and thread to do this. So you can see exactly what I'm doing right here. So I'm joining them. Okay, I'm not actually placing it on top of the other. So this is like an over sewing, I think so. I think that's the name of the stitch I'm doing right here. So I'm using it to bring them together. So I didn't place it on top of each other, if you watch carefully. So I'll go ahead and do this for the two cups, and after that, this is what I have. Yours should be standing. If it's not standing, then you didn't get it right, you didn't place it right. So guys, this is what I have, and I'm simply going to get the front part of my top. I'm going to open up the seam right here, and I'm going to iron it flat, as you can see, just like this. So now for my bra cups, I'm going to also do the same thing. You can see how standing this is already looking. So that's how yours too should be as well. So I'm also going to iron this seam open by placing my tailor's arm underneath this way, and I'm going to iron this seam open just this way. So after that, I'm just after ironing the seam open, right, I'm just going to place my wadding piece, my already created cup, inside this way, and you can see how it fits perfectly. So before you do this, go ahead and mark half of an inch all around your cup and pin this to your fabric. And after all of that, you just go on ahead and iron this, and make sure it's the shiny part that is facing your fabric so that this will stick perfectly. Okay, so you can see I've done this right here, and you can see it's standing. So for the front part of my top, you can see right here I ironed out the seam. So right now it's time for me to fix my cup to this front part of my top, right? So one thing I want to let you know about this fixing of this cup is that if you don't take your time and if you don't fix this perfectly, you're going to end up having the both ends coming up at the top part of your top. So please listen very well and watch carefully how I'm joining this. We all know that by the time you cut this your top on this bust area, you're going to have this curve. So while fixing your bra cups, ensure that you follow the shape of that curve. So you can see that my bra cup is somewhat curved as well, following that shape. If you try to straighten it out to fix your cup, you will end up not having a perfect cup. Okay, you think that you made a mistake while drafting or something, so you're going to follow that shape exactly the way it's curved. So you can see all the efforts I made sure right here that I put in while fixing this, and everything aligns properly. So take your time to do this, and after fixing, I'll simply go on ahead now to stitch very close to my wadding piece using that half of an inch stitching allowance I give to this, just as you can see right here. So I did it for the two bra cups, and this is what I have. So I am going to join the back part of my top to the front part. So right sides facing each other, I'm going to join the sides using 1 inch stitching allowance I gave to this while I was drafting. So all of these things I'm doing for this my fabric, I'm also doing it for the other part of the fabric that I'll be using as the lining piece, okay, which is also an Ankara print fabric. So I've joined this right here, and you can see what I have. So the next thing is to create channels for my boning. So I'm going to fix my channels at the middle and also on the joints I have at the front part. So at this point, please, you're meant to create your boning channels before fixing your cup, okay, because the cup is meant to cover that part. Now the cup is meant to cover it. So if this was to be a client's dress, I would have loosened that cup to fix my boning channel, but because it's mine, I had to improvise. So I had to bring this piece, which is 1 inch wide. I folded the top, and I'm just going to place it like this and make a stitch, and I'll turn it and now fold in the rough edge, and that will be it. Okay, so I hope you understand the explanation I gave right there. So for this back part, I'm going to mark ½ inch away from the edge of my fabric, because remember I marked ½ inch right here, and I'll be stitching that in. So after that, I'm going to mark 1 inch apart twice from this ½ inch I already marked right here. So I'll also be getting this piece which I cut out, which is about 1 inch wide, and I'm going to be making a stitch by placing it right side facing my fabric. I'll make my first stitch all the way to the base. I'll flip it this way and fold in the other remaining rough edge, and I'm going to make stitches at both sides, just at the very tip of this fabric. So guys, I've gone ahead to create all of this, and I was able to manipulate this perfectly. So I'm going to measure what I have at my center front, which is 9 3/4. So I'll just be subtracting about 1½ inches. Reason is because the top part I'm going to be stitching with ½ inch, and for the lower part I'm going to be stitching by ½ inch. So there is meant to be space. Okay, there's meant to be space at the top part and at the base, so that your boning doesn't end up choking you or making you so uncomfortable. Okay, so I went ahead to measure this out, and for the side which I have my joinings, I had to subtract ½ inch. Okay, not for the center front. For this part now I'm fixing, I subtracted ½ inch from the actual length I got. So right here now you can see that I'm fixing my boning, and while you fix yours, is actually not going to be relaxed. It's actually normal, so you just have to iron this out to get a relaxed effect. Okay, so after that, now I'm going ahead now to cut out for the strap of this my top. So I measured out 8½ inches on fold. So if I should bring this way, you can see what I have, and it is about 1 inch wide. So I'm going to stitch about ½ inch, and after that, this is what I have right here. So the purpose of cutting 8½ inches is because remember that our neck depth was given from the chest line. That was the part we started determining our neck depth, and it was on the chest line, which is 8 inches. So that is why I cut out 8 inches for my strap. So it's going to go all the way from the front part of my dress to the back. So from the joints I have from the front of my top to the back, I went ahead to mark about 3½ inches. So I went ahead to pin this right there. And place your straps well so that it can sit properly. Okay, so I've pinned for the both sides, and right here now I'm going to cover this with the other fabric I have. So that was why I kept insisting and telling you all to repeat the same thing you are doing for your main fabric for the other part of the fabric which you'll be using. Okay, so while stitching this, make sure that you open up your seams. So I'm going to stitch the top part, and I'm going to stitch one part of the side, and I'll also be stitching the base, all parts using ½ inch. So I did this, and I left one part of this my dress open. So I'll just go ahead and trim off these excesses. Normally if this was a lining piece, I would have stitched on top of it. Okay, but because it's a reversible top, I don't need those threads showing on any part of it. Okay, I want a total turn up and inseam right here. So from the one part which I left open, I'm going to turn this out, and I'll turn this out very well, and I'll go ahead now to fold in that part a bit and stitch it down. So after that, I'll go ahead and bring out all of these tight edges, all these edges that are inside, and I'll give this a very nice pressing. I'll sprinkle enough water, like enough water on this, and iron this so well. Even on the cup area, I'll also put my tailor's ham and iron this perfectly. So by the time I did all of this, you cut out a very long rope, like about 1 yard, or depending on your size, which you'll be using to lace it and also fix your eyelets to this. So these chalk marks I'm making here are the parts I'll be fixing my eyelets, and that will be all for this tutorial. Thank you all so much for watching. See you in my next one. Bye.